this group was started. I was looking at my notes because, thinking exactly when was this group started. It was almost 2 years ago when this group was first formed. Some of the founding members are still here, and then others have joined after that as well. And the whole reason for this was to get people let me restart actually. The whole reason for this group to be formed was to try to create the same kind of environment that we get at a conference, where we all get together and we all talk from different companies, different environments. And I just saw that missing component. And why can't we do this as a user adoption roundtable virtually? Larry and I met at the user adoption roundtable in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is about, I think, less than a month ago now when we met. And it's a great feeling to have that in person, but we can't always do that. So why not do it virtually? Anyway, so that's the reason that this group got started. As you can see, there's a bunch of members here. There's still actually even more that are not here. Love to have this gathering. I'm not going to take too much of everybody's time talking about all this stuff, but what I want to do is just quickly introduce you, Larry, and then you get going. So as I mentioned, I saw Larry. I met him at the User Adoption Roundtable in Downers Grove, Illinois, and he had a presentation talking specifically about Yammer, right? Your Yammer journey of how you guys push it out at your organization at the URJ, and the challenges that you had, and the fun that you had also doing it along the way. It was a lot of good stuff. And I asked Larry, Larry, would you like to present this to our virtual adoption roundtable? He graciously accepted. So thank you very much for doing so.
And you said the check is going to be sent to me soon, right?
Absolutely. It's already in the mail, actually. Outside, it should already be there.
Perfect, perfect.
All right. So Larry, without further ado, it's all yours.
Thank you, thank you. Nice to see everybody. My name is Larry Glickman. I am the Director of Network Engagement and Collaboration for the Union for Reform Judaism. And with almost 900 member congregations, the URJ leads the largest Jewish movement in North America. So I'm gonna share my screen here. And I'm getting into presentation. Oh wait, one second. I'm sorry. I'm gonna share first, and then I'm gonna go into presentation. Okay, can you see my screen?
All good.
Great. I'm just getting 1 second. Getting into presentation mode there. Great. Okay. So we engage with almost 13,000 Reform Movement leaders in an external Yammer network we call the Tent. Our use case for Yammer is somewhat unique, so I thought I would explain why we decided to use Yammer, what our journey has been like, what we have learned along the way, and what we expect to be happening in the months to come. So before we launched the Tent, this would have been in 2013, lay and professional leaders throughout the Jewish world had been using listservs, and they used one specific listserv called the Shamash listservs, which really began around 1989. It was run by a chiropractor in Long Island, of course, in his free time. And people use this. People use this a lot. Were they necessarily happy with the listserv? Not much, but they also weren't necessarily clamoring for a change. I guess that the Shamash listservs didn't turn out to be the income generator that perhaps our Long Island chiropractor friend thought they might be. So in about 2012 or so, he announced he was going to shut it down. And the URJ recognized the opportunity to make a change, to provide a real knowledge network for the lay and professional leaders of our movement, a space to connect and to share resources, information, and expertise. So we began this by launching a series of SharePoint sites in 2013 to replace the listservs. We spent a lot of time and money to create and launch these sites, but as we had to create a completely new domain for these SharePoint sites and give people a new username, which looked like an email address and a new password as well, the pain points really got in the way of our success. We realized that as wonderful as SharePoint is for internal communication and collaboration, it was not going to be an ideal way to connect with and engage with external users. We saw Yammer soon after it was purchased by Microsoft and realized that people would probably find it more comfortable as its look and feel was much more like Facebook and LinkedIn. And as soon as we launched our Yammer network, we saw our users and our challenges jump in numbers. So just to review, please keep in mind, this all happened before Slack and of course before Microsoft Teams as well. So a quick review. We began with our listservs. We were in those listservs for almost 25 years. And after all that time, we had about 5,000 email addresses that were subscribed, and you have to assume after all that time there were some duplicate emails and some email addresses that were no longer being used, but that was the amount that we had. Then from 2013 to 2014, we had our SharePoint sites, and we were able to welcome about 1,200 users into that throughout that year, which I call a modicum of success. It was certainly, I mean, had we stayed there, I think we would have gotten to where our listserv subscription base was, but it wasn't the success that we hoped to see. And then we'll look at what happened with Yammer over the last 5 years. In the first year alone, we had about 1,500 new users. It was just much easier to get folks in and for them to understand how this works as well. They could use their own email address. They could use whatever password they want. And yet, throughout our time, the challenges with adoption and engagement have remained. In fact, as I researched for this presentation, I came across an email that one of our VPs sent to me. Now, of course, we were in touch with our VPs as we made all of these changes along the way. And yet, when we launched our Yammer network, he sent me this note. Can someone explain to me what Yammer is and why I would want to have another place to check? Thank you very much. So this just, and if one of our high-level VPs felt this way, we had to assume that others would feel that way as well. Yammer gave us lots of great stuff along the way, but of course it presents lots of challenges as well, as I believe any platform that we may launch for a large group of external users will. But here's a few things that we came across. So this is often the first thing that our users see when they try to log into the tent. So first it says, please enter your work email address. No, you don't need a work email address, and this often causes our users concern, confusion, and sometimes anger as well. A lot of our users are, how shall I say in a nice way, older, and they sometimes respond to this was, well, I'm retired, I don't have a work email address, so I guess you don't want me to come into the tent. Well, of course, that's not the case. We want them to come in, and yet we can't change what that says. It also says, Yammer is an open network for our organization. Well, Yammer is not an open network. It's a private space. We don't want it to be open, and we don't want our users to think that it's open. This is a private space, as I said, for the lay and professional leaders of our congregations. And users will often find themselves here if they have forgotten their password, or if they don't realize their password is the same password they use for email. And there's a very little login link there that nobody sees ever. And so we often have to work through that with them. And then when they request access, they don't get any automated email that says, We got your request, and access will be granted soon. Now, we check everybody who asks to come into our network to make sure that they belong to a congregation that's part of our movement. So that could take a little time. It could take up to a day for us to get back to them, depending on other work that we have. But there's no automated way that we can build in that's going to let them know, yes, we got your request, and yes, we'll be back in touch soon. So there is nothing on this page that we can customize, and there are lots of opportunities for improvement. So then our users get into the tent, and often the response when they see this page is, what the hell is this mess? They just are attacked, they feel, I think, by a barrage of information here. It actually does make sense. But as Asef knows, and we've talked about, he actually has developed a solution for this. But along the way, we would have loved to have had some pop-ups appear that help to explain to our users some very simple things that they may need to know, that they're going to want to be aware of, and to explain how to navigate the platform. As far as the mobile, now there are, of course, apps for your phone and for your tablet as well, but as is the case with lots of websites, the mobile app doesn't do every single thing that the full-blown web version does. We can't activate an account, for instance, on an external network from a mobile device. And though this has just changed, for a long time, we could not access the file libraries that are in Yammer groups. We cannot include topics, polls, praise, and other things you can do on the desktop. These are all things that get in the way. They're like little pieces of sand that get stuck in the machine, right? These are things that get in the way of our users really feeling completely good here. Also, there now you see a thumbs up and thumbs down here, because I think this is a mix. There are no file folders in the group file libraries, and that is something that our users often complain about. But for as much as they complain, I actually think that lack of file folders is a good thing. First of all, in Teams, for instance, you can include document folders there, and our organization has begun to use Teams, and nobody uses them. For as much as they complain, they just want to get the files into the file library as quick as they can, and they don't want to spend too much time and think about which file that it needs to go into. Now, if we did have files in Yammer, we may very well nest a folder inside a folder inside a folder into which we will put that file, and then somebody's going to have to think like we think in order to find the information that we want them to find, and then for them and for us, it can be hard to find things again. So instead, so this is one side. I just want to make sure I'm not lost here. So instead, so let me just show you. This is the way that a file looks on the Yammer page. Because Yammer is now in Office 365, we can view and edit files, but we also have topics as well. Rather than putting one file in one file folder, we can attach multiple topics to each file. I think it's up to 21 is how much you can add. Thereby, in effect, putting a single file in multiple virtual file folders at once, easy to share and easy to find. And we would really love to see Microsoft expand on the functionality that Topics provides. There's a lot that it gives us, and I think there's a lot more that they could do as well. The thumbs up, it's got a very simple interface. The comment field in Yammer is clear, simple, and easy to use. They just introduced these rich text commands, which even Facebook and LinkedIn don't have, I don't believe. And so you can make your text italicized, bulleted, and you can embed links. Also, you can attach files from your desktop, from the Yammer group file library, or from a SharePoint document library if you're working in an internal Yammer network. And thank God you can also attach a GIF file or a GIF file. Now, laugh if you will, but so here's all the, a GIF file I have found really helps to engage users in your post. As annoying and as those flashing graphic icons might be, they attract eyes and people have fun and they respond. So don't be afraid of the GIF file because it really can work and to help drive engagement. So, and to look back on our listserv, Yammer also offers inline conversations. To this day, people still tell me they miss their email listservs, but look at this mess. I don't know why. Where is the content? Where is the information you really need to see? It can be hard to find. So Yammer offers clear, easy to read conversations that features the information you need the most. We can see who made the post and when, who replied, what time they replied. We can see who they are. We can tag folks and we can add those hashtags as well. Yammer is also a deeply integrated part now of the Office 365 stack. And when you're thinking about sharing information and collaborating, Yammer can be an important part of that success. So you may have seen this before. Yammer frames this as inner loop versus outer loop. This is how they frame things when they launch Teams. Teams is for your inner loop, where that date-driven, high-velocity work takes place, and Yammer's for the outer loop, where when it becomes time to share that information you created with the rest of your organization so that they're aware of it as well. And this has really helped lots of folks make sense of what to use when. I have always thought about it in these terms, though. If Teams is the conference room, the place where conversations are had, work is happening, then Yammer is the water cooler, the place where information is shared with the larger organization. Yes, we talk about what we did over the weekend, the TV shows we're watching on Netflix. That's important too. And that helps us to connect with our colleagues as well, so that when the time comes to talk about the work stuff, we feel that much more comfortable with folks. So don't discount the importance of the water cooler. And if you think about this in terms of the information you are trying to share, I found there's a real pathway that information can take. So we start in OneDrive. We create the file. We add content. We save the file. Then we share it to a SharePoint document library or directly to Teams. In Teams, that place where your high-velocity conversations are taking place, you can connect back to the SharePoint library to collaborate on the content. And then once that work is done, you can share it from SharePoint or Teams, or even straight from OneDrive to Yammer, where you can now have meaningful conversation with the larger organization about the work. Now you are at the water cooler. Or you can also put it like this, that SharePoint is kind of the structure under everything. But if you prefer to avoid investing the time necessary to create a robust SharePoint site, much of that structure to create a robust intranet site already exists in Yammer and Teams. So there's a lot of additional functionality as well in Flow to set up repeated tasks, collaboration and data web parts to include in SharePoint, extended functionality to include in Teams, and And of course, you could collaborate directly from OneDrive as well. They effectively each stand alone as a viable collaboration solution, and they work to get together as a nice suite of tools. It's whatever you prefer and whatever your choice is to get that work done. Whatever tool you use, that's going to work the best. So coming this year in the Yammer platform, it's an ongoing rumor that Microsoft is about to shut Yammer down. I hear that every year. And I'd just like to say that rumors of Yammer's demise are greatly exaggerated. We've seen no proof at all. They continue to add to their team, and they continue to roll out functionality too. So they've already launched rich text. They just rolled out being able to indicate whether your post is a comment or a question. Soon, you're going to be able to mark what the best response to the post is. You can easily create live events. It connects to Stream and to Teams and back and forth and in and out. And soon, you'll be able to pin posts towards the top of the page, which I know our users are really going to enjoy. And then, to extend the functionality of Yammer, the URJ works with two additional tools. We work with Swoop Analytics to evaluate on an ongoing basis the level of activity in our network, identify top groups and users, and to get deep insights on Yammer activity. In fact, the URJ was identified by Swoop as one of the most robust Yammer networks in the world for an organization our size. As part of the largest analysis of Yammer networks that has been done, and this was alongside organizations like KFC and Telstra. We were very proud to be recognized in that way. We also work with Aware as well. They were formerly known as Wiretap, to help us connect our users to the information and content they are trying to find, and to help us stay connected to key conversations, activity, and sentiment in our networks. So how can we help our Yammer network succeed if, God forbid, you should decide to launch a Yammer network yourself? Give it time. As is the case with most technology tools that we use, you are not going to launch it on a Monday and everybody is going to thank you on Tuesday. This really takes time, and it takes a certain dedication as well. And you also, related to that, somebody really has to own it. Somebody has to give it love and really encourage your colleagues to use this space. Yes, there are tricks and tools that we can compel our colleagues to use this space, but somebody really has to evangelize. Evangelize is the word for it. We want to get leadership engaged. If your boss is there, you're going to be there. And it really gives C-suite execs the opportunity to connect with staff in a way that email just does not provide, and it's going to encourage their direct reports to use the platform as well. And then what does Yammer provide to us? It provides us transparency throughout our organization. It really encourages folks to share the work that they do, share what they know, connect with folks throughout the team and throughout the organization. You have to help people to feel okay with that too. It's asking them, you know, we all want to wait till our work is done. We want it to reflect the best of who we are and what we do. And when we share it before it's done, we run the risk of being wrong. We run the risk of somebody having more expertise than we have. But it serves the work well. And we really want to encourage everybody to feel okay about that. And that really is where habits and behavior get into all of this. You're asking people to change the way that they work. It is for the good. You're going to become a more productive organization as a result. And I realized along the way, as I was trying to get people outside my organization involved in our Yammer network, I had to help my staff feel okay with this. I had to help them develop the habits that they need. So we began to do working out loud at the URJ based on the book called, ironically, Working Out Loud. And we had working out loud circles at the URJ, groups of 4 to 6 employees who met 1 hour a week for 12 weeks. Each individual employee set a goal for themselves, either having to do with work or having to do with their own life. And they meet 1 hour a week for 12 weeks to learn the habits and skills that's going to help them connect to information that's going to help them to achieve that goal. In the first Working Out Loud group I was in, my goal was I wanted to connect with more people who ran Yammer networks for nonprofit organizations. And I believe as a direct result of that, I became a Microsoft MVP just this last year. We had somebody who bravely, on our first call, we all knew each other to an extent, but we didn't know each other this well. And she came on the call and said, I want to lose 12 pounds in 12 weeks. And she lost more than twice that. And along the way, Yammer became okay for them to use. And along the way, they got other people to feel okay about Yammer as well. So just more places to get information about all this stuff. The Microsoft Tech community is great. I blog about all of this stuff quite a bit at glickmanonline.com. Please check it out because I love to get those clicks. And there's lots of really great information at workingoutloud.com as well. And there's lots of organizations that have found engagement and collaboration success by bringing Working Out Loud in. So I strongly recommend that. And I think that's it. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that there might be.
There'll be questions for sure. Absolutely. Get ready, Larry. Starting with me, actually, I'll go ahead and ask my first question here. I was writing some notes down, and one of the things you said right in the beginning, Larry, was that when you first rolled out Yammer, the challenges also increased. Adoption increased, obviously, but the challenges also increased. Is that a good thing?
The challenge, you said the challenges increased. It certainly got us as staff and community leaders engaged in the platform, trying to get these issues resolved. So I guess it got us more. I never really thought about it in that way. That's my next blog piece now. But I think that got us more involved. Yeah. As a result. It wasn't something we could launch and then just walk away from. We really had to stay deeply engaged in this so we could learn it and we could learn how to work through the different challenges that we had.
Here's the reason I asked this question. When I do sessions at conferences and I talk about analytics, people always ask, how do you quantify user adoption? How do you quantify if you're making progress? And when I ask this question back to the audience, many times they say, well, when your support tickets start going down, that's progress. But that's not what I saw. So here's what I mean. We, as VisualSP, we did a engagement with Visa Corporation a long time ago. And actually, there's a case study out there on the website also where they talked about how their support tickets actually went up when they did a lot more adoption activities and they started pushing things. But the support tickets were very specific to, I'm trying to create this custom object, let's say a list or a subsite or something, and here's the issue that I'm having. Not that I hate SharePoint. Right. Those kind of support tickets are bad support tickets, but there's also many good support tickets. So I'm assuming also that what you guys experienced is when you started seeing a lot of engagement, a lot of customization, a lot of just I guess excitement around this thing.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. We get lots of positive feedback on the tent, to be sure, and we do. I don't mind when somebody gets upset, or they get frustrated, or they get concerned, because that means that they care too, and they want this to work. They want to connect with folks. They want to find the information. The worst thing is if they walk away, and if they say, I don't care, I'm going to give up on this. And interestingly enough, we get lots of age concerns. As I said, we have lots of older folks who use this platform. But I find often it's those people who are like 65 years old and older, who often say, damn it, if this is the last thing I do, I'm going to learn how this works. Wow. And they really commit themselves. And it's folks who are younger, maybe in the 30 to 40 age range, that have enough preconceived notions about technology and the way that it should work and the tools they know work best, that they give up, I find, much faster than older folks do. No disrespect to anybody on this call.
I have a theory about this one, by the way. If you look at it, Facebook does have a lot of older generation now. I mean, a lot of my aunts, uncle, parents, everybody's in Facebook. I'm not on Facebook as much myself, actually. I use other mechanisms to connect. But that same generation is seeing, I think what you're saying also is, this is the Facebook internally. I want to get involved in it because all the people that I know are there. Let's talk to them over there. So, great presentation. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on and doing this thing. I'll open it up. Other questions from members?
I'm curious if you, now that you said you started the Yammer group before Teams was even in existence, so now that it does exist, and you said you were starting to use it, I guess, what are you thinking at any point that you would transition this from Yammer to Teams, or use both?
As the two platforms exist now, absolutely not. And because and Teams may change this, and I think if they did one thing, then Yammer might be done. If Teams offered a homepage newsfeed that showed all activity from all teams and channels, then that might help us. That might encourage us to make that change. I don't think they're going to do that just because of the number of teams and channels that exist that are created as work goes along. So while we use Teams quite a bit at the URJ for our work, I don't see it as a viable platform for our community-wide engagement.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Other questions out there?
I was going to comment in the aspect of, at our company, we've been using Yammer, but we use it like a team.
Yes.
So now as we're in the process of going to the cloud and going online, now we're going to have to retrain everybody to say, okay, what goes in Yammer really should go in Teams, and now we have to use Yammer in a different way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people have dealt with that too, or have people used Yammer incorrectly before?
Yes. Not incorrectly, just it was the only option, kind of like saying it was the only thing. And so when we started in 2016, I think is when we launched it for our organization, we did private groups and public groups. And so there were plenty of teams that were using it the way you use Teams now. And then we had the public Yammer groups that everybody could see and participate in. And once we launched Teams and we really saw the way that was moving, we started telling everybody this is what we recommend. We actually, my own team, the digital communications team, had a private Yammer group. And we decided to kind of be the guinea pigs and test, switching over to Teams. I think the hardest part of that, not for us, but for some groups, has been the fact that there's no migration or no way to copy what's already been done in one place to move it over to the other. I think if there were some tool that could be used to take what you had done in a Yammer private group and take it over to a team, it would be a little bit easier to bring everybody over. But we had enough excitement about teams that it wasn't too difficult for folks to say, yeah, we can scrap what we were doing in Yammer and move to teams. And we still have Yammer activity for the public, like for the organization, because there is that, like Larry was saying, you want that water cooler, and that's not what Teams is. I mean,
right.
Teams is for you to, you could have like a mini private water cooler just for your team, and we do have that. We have a channel that's called Random Team Fun, and that's where we do our animated GIFs and our happy birthday things and all that within a team. But Yammer is for the whole organization to see and communicate and share.
So if you're using your Yammer internal network and saving your files that you create and use there in a SharePoint site, you could connect Teams to that same SharePoint site. Also, you can embed Yammer conversations in a team. So you can't move stuff there, but you can see the flow of posts and such. And I believe that they're going to do the same thing from Teams to Yammer as well.
Yeah, that actually, and that's a good idea, because when I first read about the ability to put a Yammer tab in Teams, I was just scratching my head over that one. I was like, what are they doing? Like, make up your mind. What is the purpose of one versus the other? But I think that's a good point. I never really thought about that, that for the people who were using Yammer for private conversations and collaboration and now want to use Teams, that would be a great opportunity to just merge the two for them so that they could go to one spot. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I didn't even think of that. I just thought Microsoft was crazy. So
well spent. There you go.
We use our Yammer site with our SharePoint team as a sort of like a community, sort of like a help desk type thing, not like an official, incident ticket thing of that nature, but where people are like, hey, I've got this issue, they can kind of blast it out there, and it's sort of our kind of like, we're basically, kind of sitting at a desk as people are kind of like following through sort of thing. So with that, Larry, I was kind of thinking through your thing, what you were talking about with challenge and stuff. So did you have a Yammer group for Yammer? Like, so once people got in the door, then they could.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? I'm just curious.
1 second. So I've got a group. Here's the tent. And actually on the homepage newsfeed, I pin #tent how to. And so if I click on that, we created just easy to read one-page files of things that we thought our users would want to know. How to delete a post, how to make a post. So if I click on that, if I weren't on Zoom, it would come up just like that. But you will see, here it comes. It's going to be great. Wait till you see.
We're ready.
It's going to be awesome. So it's just large type, one page, easy to read. And we do have a tent group, a tent help group, I think. Tent tips, tent and Yammer information here. And the group is not used that much, but it's a place that we can go to share information. You can see I made a post here about rich text fields. So that's how we approach that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward. I just read in the message center about the addition of the marking, posting questions and marking best answer.
Yeah.
I think that might help with those types of groups, exactly, because we have something similar and it doesn't get heavily used, because in the past it was just somebody post a question and then anyone could reply with anything and it would just become like a long conversation. So I think that's going to be a nice addition.
self-servingly, I was telling Larry earlier how he can make it so much easier to push all that information through VisualSP. But
There you go.
yeah. Because I know, being a trainer myself for so many years, I've seen that frustration from users. There's just too much stuff everywhere. And
Yeah.
even for the help, when they have to click more than twice to get to help, they don't click. Most
Yeah.
people will not do it. That's a fact. It's unfortunate, but there's so much good content out there, but you have to search, you have to know where to search, you have to know what to search for.
And we found that Yammer is an ever-evolving platform.
Yes, it is.
So whatever we put out there is going to be wrong in short time. And so what you need to train, you need to provide support. But I think the best way is to just guide through best practices. When they see how you post and the technique that you have, hopefully that will sink in time as well.
Exactly. I'm sure there are more questions out there. Don't be shy.
Oops, I'm sorry. That's me. Sorry. That was just my kids. Don't worry. It's fine.
All right, so I'll go ahead and throw something out there. When Larry was presenting this, and he was presenting the analogy of the conference room, if I remember correctly, the conference room is the Teams, right? And the Yammer is the water cooler.
Yeah.
I actually told the Microsoft guy sitting there that, guys, you want to use this analogy much better than the inner loop and outer loop, which is not as human. You can't really imagine this. I really like that analogy quite a bit, and I might steal it and put it out there, Larry. It's just FYI.
I'm sure the check from Microsoft is in the mail, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's in the mail, too. It should be on your mailbox.
There you go.
Along with my check.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, as soon as you showed that and we're describing it in that way, I was like, I'm going to use that because I tend to show the inner loop, outer loop. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But this is, I think, much more effective. So,
and I also came up with like a Microsoft collaboration triangle, too. That if SharePoint is the base, you begin in Teams and then Yammer goes from there. So I'm all about the analogies. And so whatever works, use it. But yeah.
You can tell that inner loop and outer loop was made by some developer, coming up with, how do I describe this thing? So
I think it was actually begun by the Microsoft CEO.
Oh.
Here, yeah.
Really?
He was the one that said, no, it's really like this and then like this.
Never heard that one.
Yeah.
Possible. All right. How many people do you have in Yammer? You said 13,000 altogether, right?
We have 12,860, I believe, was my last check.
Do you have any active counts as to how many people actively use it every day?
So every day, no, but our engagement rates usually range from about 20% on the low end to 45% on the high end. So working for a Jewish organization, as I do, we find it really dips on the weekend, on Shabbat, right? When we shouldn't work, when we shouldn't, we all do, but we shouldn't work. So you don't see lots of posts. You see posts go up right before the Jewish holidays, and then they take a big dip. So it really does depend on day of the week, time of the year. Very sad to say, one of our biggest days in the tent was after the shooting in Pittsburgh. People needed to connect. They needed to know that they knew how to keep their congregation safe. So that's never why we would want to see engagement increase. But if that space is there to provide a little comfort and expertise, then great.
Absolutely. You mentioned one more thing that I remember at the Downers Grove Roundtable. There was governance and guidelines that you put out there, and you made them fun. I think you showed some of them as well.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, so Yammer does provide a space for you to put in a network usage policy. So the thing with a platform like Yammer is that there's so much in front of your face, and people say, where can I find this? How do I do that? And I usually say, why don't you just take a breath? Stop. Look at the screen. 9 times out of 10, what you want to see is right there. And so our network usage policy is right here, as it is on every Yammer network. And we had a little bit of fun with this, and we framed this as the 10 combat commandments of the tent. And when we first had this, it was lots more of thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that. But that got in the way of what we were really trying to say. But when we can have a little bit of fun, we like to have a little bit of fun. So do not share that which is not yours to share. Advertising and spam are not kosher. What happens in the tent stays in the tent. Stuff like that.
Love it. Yeah, I found that to be very amusing, very cool.
Yeah, yeah. And again, nobody knows that it's there unless they just happen to click on it, but it's there. So.
Once again.
And when somebody breaks the rules, we can easily link to that too and say, you shouldn't do that. So
One of the things that really helps, and you do it programmatically, you could do it with a third-party platform or anywhere you want, is show them this kind of a policy or guidelines ahead of time, and have them click on a button saying, I agree.
Which we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Yammer provides for that. There's a little box that you can check to say, Yammer do these things first. And again, they don't read them, even though they're lots of fun to read, but still, it's fine.
Well, we're accustomed to go down to the bottom and click on I agree with all the stuff that we do these days, so it's difficult to read all that stuff now. But at least you can tell with analytics later that, hey, you read it.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's something like that.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Licensing, is Yammer already included, or is that an additional license fee per user?
It's already included. We don't pay anything extra for it.
Okay. And then as far as controlling that page, I joined in after you started your demo. Sorry if I'm asking something you already showed. Can you control like how the poster showed, or like if you wanted to have highlighted? I have never thought about Yammer before, but seeing this thing here made me think of a project that I have upcoming where they want all of our internal people to be able to post like their own news from a personal perspective to the whole organization. And I'm thinking, this might be a better way to do it than just creating a communication site.
Yeah. So you can absolutely not control anything as far as what folks see. So you see, I'm on the Discovery news feed here. This is what Yammer thinks that I want to see based on the groups that I've seen or the posts that I've interacted with. This is the all feed that shows you every post made to every public group in Yammer, whether you belong to that group or not, or any private group that you belong to. And if you're not in a group, you'll see there's a little word join right here that will let you join that group. And then the groups that you join appear on the left side of your screen, and they only appear in order of their frequency of use by you. So we can't even control what order they appear in. That being said, you may have missed this. You soon will be able to pin posts at the top of a group page. And then you can, through a little bit of creativity, we are able to link to collections of information here in our info box. But like I said, soon you'll be able to stick a post to the top of the page. We'll have more control over the group header as well. And you can pin certain you can pin certain files in the network resources section of your group as well. But beyond that, there's just not much control to be had.
I have a question for Asif.
Yeah.
So I saw that you were recording this, and I know that it's probably limited to our group. I would like to find out if I can share this video with my Yammer group here, or my social media team, and
that's fine.
a couple people.
Let me ask Larry this question. Larry, I know they recorded that in Downers Grove as well, and you were okay with that recording. Are you okay with this recording as well?
As soon as the check clears, I'll be
Okay, so as soon as the check clears.
fine. Yeah. And I came across a number of years ago a short 2-minute YouTube clip, which I'm not going to share with you right now, but I'm going to get the link to you here. I don't know that I've ever had a tool that was more effective in helping people appreciate the potential of a platform like Yammer than this short clip. Take a look. It's old, but it works incredibly well. And let me know what you think.
So for everybody, by the way, Larry put this in chat. You should see chat at the bottom.
Yeah.
Click on that, it should appear. It's a YouTube video. Good to know. I've never seen this one. Business practices that refuse to die. That's what it's
Email
called?
trees.
Email trees.
And yeah. So what we talk about a lot is rather than emailing things out to a whole bunch of this and that and they get forwarded and blind copied all over the place, you're bringing everybody to the one place. The one place where the information lives, where the conversation is had, and where a legacy of information is created as well. It's all in that one place. Easy to find, easy to read through.
Great. All right, we still have a few more minutes. Anything else, guys? Any other questions, thoughts for Larry? Well, this has been super helpful.
It was a great presentation. It was
Thank
really
you very
well
much.
done.
Absolutely. And, you know, as I've said before, it's open to anybody. If you're doing something in your organization, in your team that you would like to share, this helps everybody, including ourselves also when we share it. New ideas come to mind. At least it does to me all the time when I'm sharing something. So please let me know. If there is, Larry, you're welcome to stay part of the group if you like going forward.
Please.
And, so when we don't have presentations, what we do is we open the group up for general conversation around user adoption, around user support, around things that interest everybody.
Great.
And we don't usually record the meetings unless we have permission, unless there's something that's public in nature. Like this one, I will make it available, but usually we don't make we don't make a recording at all.
Got it.
So we can just open up and talk about anything and everything, without being afraid of what we're saying. All right. Any last thoughts or questions before we wrap up?
Just one last thing. I'll just type my email address here. If anybody has any questions at all, please don't be shy. Very happy to.
Sure.
Larry, one more thing also, since you said you use Teams, we also use Teams internally. I mean, I should say internally. So our own organization, VisualSP, has a Teams tenant, obviously. Within that, I have made a external team for this group. If you'd like it, we can make you part of it as well. So let me know if you want to.
I got one more place to check. Fine.
Okay, I think it's the same email address for you then?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, I'll do that. Pam, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say I pulled that YouTube video up real quick and I had it running on the side window. It's super effective.
Yeah, it really is. I wish I could say that I made it, but I just found it.
Pam has done many presentations out there as well at a user group also recently, right, Pam?
SharePoint Saturday.
SharePoint Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the trainer in mind, I'm sure these kind of things really are helpful to get people to adopt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, let's wrap it up for now, but we'll see you guys again next month. In between, like I mentioned, Teams is out there, so if you want to collaborate, that's the best way. We used to do it over email, but email gets so congested.
Yes.
All the stuff that's coming back and forth. It's too much to check. So I'll see you guys in Teams, and then after that, I'll see you guys next month. Larry's email, like you said, is in the chat, so please get that right now before I end the meeting if you want it.
Or connect with me in Teams. I'll be there soon.
There you go. I'll put Glickman at urj.org in Teams very soon. I'll have our admin do that. All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You.